Today is tax day. Millions of Americans just sent money to Washington, and for years some of that money was quietly used to settle scandals for members of Congress. This isn't a legal judgment. We're breaking down public records, reporting, and what's exploding online right now. And what's coming out is making people furious. Right now, social media is absolutely exploding. If you look online today, you will see one hashtag dominating the conversation. It is hashtag trash day. And I can promise you it has absolutely nothing to do with municipal garbage collection. It is about taking out the political trash. To understand why people are so furious today, we need to go back in time to 1995, because this is where the entire system was built. Congress passed something called the Congressional Accountability Act. On paper, the goal sounded noble. Congress wanted to apply the same workplace laws to itself that apply to every other business. To manage all of this, they created the Office of Congressional Workplace Rights, or the OCWR. On the surface, it was supposed to be a safe, highly confidential place for congressional staffers, aides, and interns to report workplace violations, including discrimination and sexual harassment against powerful members of Congress. But here's where it gets much worse. Critics and legal experts have argued for years that this system was never actually built to protect the victims. It was built from the ground up to protect the institution of Congress. If a young staffer wanted to file a complaint against a powerful representative, they were forced into a grueling, exhausting maze. They had to go through mandatory counseling. Then they were forced into mandatory mediation. Then they had to sit through a mandatory cooling-off period. The entire system dragged on for months, burying the victim in bureaucratic red tape, while they often had to continue working in the exact same toxic environment. It was a process designed to wear people down, protecting the politician who had the full backing of the federal government. And if a victim actually survived that maze and a settlement was reached, this is the part that almost nobody talks about. When a politician settled a misconduct claim, they did not open their own checkbook. They did not dip into their campaign funds. The money came from a special designated fund at the United States Treasury. It was taxpayer money. And over time, this fund quietly paid out around $17 million across hundreds of cases without the public ever seeing the names behind it. Because the system prioritized the reputations of the lawmakers above all else, these taxpayer-funded payouts were locked behind incredibly strict non-disclosure agreements and permanently sealed records. The victims got paid, but they were silenced. The politicians kept their careers, they kept their power, and they kept their reputations, entirely subsidized by the American public. When the Me Too movement hit Washington in 2017 and 2018, the public outrage over this system became too loud to ignore. Congress was forced to change the rules. The new regulations dictated that moving forward, members of Congress who settled certain claims would have to reimburse the Treasury out of their own pockets. But there was a massive glaring catch that transparency advocates immediately flagged. The reforms were not retroactive. The millions of dollars spent before December 2018 stayed permanently locked in the vault. The politicians who used the slush fund during the era of peak secrecy were grandfathered into permanent protection. The institution protected its own history, and the old names stayed buried. Which brings us directly to the absolute chaos of March 2026. The tension over these hidden historical records finally boiled over on the House floor. Representative Nancy Mace decided to force the issue. She introduced a resolution that would compel the House Ethics Committee to publicly release the records of these investigations. The resolution included strict provisions to heavily redact all victim and witness identifying information to protect the innocent. The only people who would be exposed were the lawmakers themselves. So what happened when Congress was asked to release the names? They voted 357 to 65 to bury it. The House voted to refer the resolution to the Ethics Committee. In the complex world of congressional procedure, referring a highly controversial bill to a committee is simply a polite political trick used to kill a piece of legislation without having to vote directly against the core issue. By doing this, the immediate public release of the names was effectively stopped in its tracks. Only 65 members voted against burying the resolution, a bipartisan group that included vocal transparency advocates demanding the records be opened. The establishment defense for hiding the records is rooted in victim protection. Committee leaders argued that even with heavy redactions, releasing settlement details, dates, and the specific offices involved could allow internet sleuths to deduce the identities of the victims. They argued that exposing these historical settlements could create a massive chilling effect, terrifying future victims from coming forward out of fear that their private traumas might one day be exposed. It is a deeply valid and empathetic concern. Protecting victims is paramount. But for the transparency advocates, the math is incredibly simple. If the government used millions of dollars of public money for hush payments, the public has an absolute right to see the receipts. They argue that hiding behind the veil of victim protection is just a convenient excuse used by the political elite to maintain a multi-decade cover-up. and this is exactly why today is blowing up across the internet. While the full House successfully killed the immediate release, the Oversight Committee had a backup plan. In a completely separate maneuver, they officially subpoenaed the pre-2018 OCWR records, specifically regarding claims against actual members of Congress. Today on Tax Day, Representative Anna Paulina Luna, who sits on the Oversight Committee, dropped a viral post that lit a match to the internet. She posted a friendly reminder that House Oversight subpoenaed the records of the Congressional Sexual Harassment Slush Fund and that they will be releasing them. She added that maybe we will see more resignations, and ended it with the hashtag Trash Day. The internet erupted. The timing was a masterclass in political communication, reminding the American public about a taxpayer-funded hush money vault on the exact day their taxes are due is a guaranteed formula for massive civic outrage. Right now, social media is an absolute frenzy of speculation, anger, and unverified rumors. Because the Oversight Committee has not yet released the official documents from the subpoena, the internet is filling the void with wild accusations. Unverified names are flying everywhere. Representative Jason Crow is being repeatedly tagged online, with persistent unverified rumors claiming he is number 70 on a hidden list of politicians who utilize the fund. Others are dragging up past unrelated controversies involving figures like Eric Swalwell as contextual proof that Congress simply cannot police itself. But we need to hit the brakes and look very closely at the facts. As of right now, there is absolutely no official verified list. The rumors circulating on social media are just that, unverified internet chatter. Furthermore, legally speaking, a financial settlement handled by the OCWR does not automatically equal an admission of guilt. Political offices frequently settle workplace disputes simply to avoid the astronomical costs and the media circus of a protracted public trial. It is also highly important to note that the original fund covered a wide spectrum of complaints, including age discrimination and violations of the Americans with Disabilities Act, not just sexual misconduct. But the Oversight Committee does have the subpoenaed documents. They are processing them right now, and the clock is ticking. We are watching a massive, high-stakes collision in real time. On one side, you have the deeply entrenched institutional caution of the congressional establishment. On the other side, you have a furious public absolutely demanding accountability. If these records actually drop, and if prominent currently serving members of Congress are officially revealed to have secretly utilized taxpayer money to settle severe misconduct allegations, this could be one of the biggest political scandals in years. We are looking at the very real possibility of fierce partisan warfare, immediate calls for congressional censures, intense pressure campaigns forcing rapid resignations, and potentially even historic expulsion votes. And when those records finally drop, we are breaking down every single name based on the actual documents, not the internet rumors. What do you think about all of this? Should victim privacy outweigh transparency, or do Americans have a right to know how their money was spent? Let me know what you think in the comments and subscribe, because when those records drop, we're breaking it all down. Because this story is just getting started.